Hi everybody. My name is Marco Javarone. I come from Italy. I am an assistant professor in theoretical physics. However, today I'm here on behalf of Cryptonary. The purpose of this talk is to present you what we do at Cryptonary, my role there, and give you also some insights about the nature of research and of the services that we provide. So, let me start saying what Cryptonary is. Cryptonary is a research platform focused on the crypto market, blockchain, education, offering a lot of services. The main one is addressing the needs of investors and other people interested in the market. However, there are many other activities that we do. For instance, we provide technical reports about correlation among digital assets and other quantities, among, for instance, macroeconomic data like the GDP and their impact in the crypto market. We analyze a lot of stuff and we support investors with these reports, with technical trends. There are different levels of subscription in the platform depending if you are a beginner or if you are a professional, if you are an individual, if you are an enterprise, and so on. So you can access a lot of material. Well, among our professionals, some of them are focusing on meme coins. Meme coins are extremely complex and difficult to predict and to understand. They have a very high volatility, there is a poor liquidity, sometimes they are fake token, and so on and so forth. So our professional inside write down technical and study deeply the behavior of meme coins in order to provide you insights about the way to invest on them. On average, in summary, let's say that Cryptonary provides some services that are designed in particular to support the following categories: large enterprises seeking in-depth crypto market insights and strategic advice driven by innovative metrics. We actually have our proprietary metrics in order to make some forecasting, prediction, and so on. Small companies eager to adopt and leverage blockchain-based technologies. For instance, there are companies that so far are not using a blockchain, but they are interested. So what we do is first to understand if they really need for their internal processes or for their customers, if they really need a blockchain. Then we support also individuals that are eager to learn about the crypto space, and maybe they are interested in invest a small amount of money into. And also we have crypto enthusiasts that are looking for a trusted community, because Cryptonary actually is also a community. We have different channels across social media. We analyze profiles, and we try to assess if there are fake news surfing and spreading in this X, for instance, EG, and so on. So it's like to build and to stay in a community that supports you toward a trustworthy crypto space. Cryptonary, in a few words, is based in Dubai. So far, we are more than 50 professionals collaborating from various locations all over the world, mainly remotely. We boast about 210,000 regular subscribers, and I'm very proud to say that our impact in the very last 12 months is the following. We had over than 506 million content impressions across platforms like X, Instagram, Reddit, and so on. And we also had over 120 million unique individuals engaging with our content. This is amazing. The company is growing, and we are very happy for that. My goal at Cryptonary is leading a lab, a research lab. What we do is trying to redefine a perspective on the way we analyze on-chain data. This is something that I'm going to show you next. We also try to improve metric integration and different market modeling. What we do is to offer services including analytical reports, strategy implementation, I mean market strategy, alpha design, crypto investment strategies, testing, assessing the minimum amount of money and the related risks that you need in order to use a particular strategy. Blockchain education, and we study blockchain scenarios for those companies that want to implement their own token or their own blockchain. Our approach is deeply data-driven, and includes the following methodologies: physics-based, maths-based in particular, because we want to understand the underlying motivation of the phenomenon that we observe. Then we use a lot of deep learning, AI, and we are opening to quantum computing, because as you know, quantum computing is the future of computation. So we want to be ready. Let me now jump to some more technical, without, let's say, entering into technical details, but I want to show you our methodology for analyzing on-chain data. This is a methodology that has been published online on an academic paper. I'll give you the reference, I can send it to you, and I'll try to summarize it in layman's terms. So, what are on-chain data? On-chain data are data contained into the blockchain. In this presentation, I'm focusing on the Bitcoin blockchain in particular and on the Bitcoin market. In each block, we have a set of parameters. For instance, the timestamp, the block weight, the block size, the number of transactions, and so on. It's a mine of data. We can analyze this data to extract information, to extract knowledge. This is our goal. And we can do that following different methodologies. But if we use machine learning, that is the most common used method, maybe we can get the target, we can get our goal. What you are not understanding, the underlying dynamics. So the goal of today is try to see if we can build up a model able to say why we observe what we measure. Well, as I said, I am a physicist, and I like to think that in nature and in our society, every system has a sort of code. There are a lot of examples. For instance, there is a theory, very fascinating, although speculative, suggesting that our whole universe is encoded in a holographic screen, far away, a bunch of qubits governing the law of the world we live in. Life is encoded in a molecule called DNA, and we know that for sure. Our assumption is that the blockchain is a sort of DNA for the crypto market, and I'm going to show you why we think that. Well, we have two systems. One is the blockchain, and the other one is the crypto market. We want to see if the blockchain dynamics are able to affect the crypto market in some way, and we want to measure the related interaction, the related effect. Underlying the two systems, there is a very huge community. This community we can refer to, for instance, as a crypto community, is composed of different kinds of agents. There are wallet owners, there are miners, speculators, investors, and so on, and many others. However, I'm going to focus only on a methodology that does not take this community into account. Well, in order to do that, the first observation is that these two systems have a different nature. The first one is a ledger containing the parameters that I discussed earlier. The second one is the time series representing the price fluctuations in time. So we need to change, in some sense, a system into the nature of the other in order to make a proper comparison. While it would be difficult to turn a time series into a blockchain, I'm going to show you that it's much more suitable to turn a blockchain into a time series. For doing that, there are just two steps. The first one is to find in a suitable representation space. The second one is to take the blocks represented in this space and to turn them into a time series. And then we are ready to have our comparison. Well, in order to explore the blockchain as a time series, it's a mathematical process, but trust me, I'm not going into mathematical details. What we do is the following. We select just 3 parameters out of all of them that are included in each block. They are not randomly picked. We selected the number of transactions, the number of inputs, and the number of outputs for composing each transaction. Why? Because they represent the way users behave when playing with Bitcoin. In doing so, we have a 3-dimensional space, like a Cartesian space where you just substitute x, y, and z with the 3 parameters, and each block becomes a point in this space, in this 3-dimensional space. And so we can define a sort of arrow pointing at this point, representing the block. Arrows, in mathematical terms, are called vectors. And in doing so, if we connect our arrows or vector in this line, in this chain, what we obtain is a 1-dimensional vector chain. If we analyze the behavior of these 3 parameters over time, here, as we can see, we have the behavior over 10 years. There are a lot of fluctuations. Our goal is to see if these fluctuations combined together are able to describe the blockchain evolution. okay? And also, we have a phase space. The phase space just represents all the possible combinations that this three parameter can take over time. So it's a huge space. All the possibilities. There can be a block containing 1,000 of transaction, 100,000 of inputs, 200,000 of outputs, and so on and so forth. All possibilities. However, our first observation is very interesting because we found that on average, all these arrows, all these blocks are very, very similar on average in time. So people tend to behave the same over time when using the blockchain. And if we see the system as a set of arrows as we are doing, we can think of this configuration as arrows pointing more or less into the same direction. And we call this a state of order. This is very important because I will come back to this definition later. Well, now that we have our one-dimensional chain, the next step is really is just math. We just feed a mathematical function that is called a Hamiltonian that represents the energy of a system, typically in physics. And what we have as output, it's a point in time for every block. And in doing so, we have a time series. And the time series is extremely interesting because it contains information. For instance, as you can see here, each peak corresponds to relevant event in the blockchain history, the main one in particular to the flood attack happening in July 2015. So after all this transformation, we are happy to see that our time series representing the blockchain still contains relevant information, and now we are ready to play with it. Let's see again the crypto market. For the crypto market, we said that we have the variations of the Bitcoin in US dollar. And this is a very wide range, because as you know, the price can go from a few dollars to thousands of dollars. So a better approach in order to analyze fluctuations is to use another quantity. That is an all-time high, for instance. And we are going to use this quantity. This is just the price normalized over the maximum value that the token had in its history. So now we have two time series. What can we do? What we want to do is try to study a causality relationship. Studying a causality relationship is trying to assess if a system dynamics are able to affect the dynamics of another system. For doing this, in mathematical terms, is very, very difficult and a very old problem. And what we face is using statistics and dynamical system theory. Here is just the results using a statistical method called the Granger causality test. The Granger causality test works this way. Assume you have two variables, X and Y. X can be, for instance, our blockchain time series, and Y can be the crypto market time series. You compare the prediction, the forecasting of X, only assuming it's passed using a null model, that's called the NARMA model, and then you repeat the process by using the second variable, as we are doing in our case with the blockchain. If the prediction is better and the test is successful, then the outcome is smaller than a given threshold, that is equal to 0.05. As we can see, we have red points that are bigger than the threshold and blue points that are smaller than the threshold. This means that the market is not able to, according to this test, is not able to influence the blockchain dynamics because the result is represented by red, while the blockchain is able, in some sense, as a causal relationship with the dynamics of the crypto market. Okay? We are going to see the impact of this finding in our work. Well, here we have, again, the all-time high of the Bitcoin. This time there are some small red circles. Each one indicates a decrease in the value of the Bitcoin of at least 10%. Also circled in red, there is, again, the flood attack who had an impact in the market. We have been able to detect all these points without using machine learning, again, without using a deep learning, but using the blockchain time series. The blockchain time series that we developed enables us to find this point, this critical point, that again represent a reduction of at least 10% in the value. We do that by using the time derivative of our signals and removing small fluctuations. This means that every time we measure relevant variation in the behavior of users in the blockchain, and we have the peaks on the top plot of this figure, we have, in a matter of 21 days, in just 3 weeks, a decrease of at least 10% of the value of the Bitcoin. And this is interesting. Why? From a physical perspective, every time that we have a variation, a deep variation in the time series, we have our arrows representing blocks that, instead of being aligned into the same direction, they are now pointing randomly in space. And so if we think about these configurations of arrow randomly pointing in space, no more aligned, we can define this configuration as the configurations of disorder. But I said earlier that on average, the blockchain looks like be in an ordered configuration. So there is a sort of transition. And this is cool because we are using the very same terms using for particle physics in order to study the dynamics of the blockchain. A phase transition like what you experience when you heat up the water actually can be observed also in the dynamics of the crypto users. And it is very useful because every time there is a disorder, it predates panic selling in the crypto market. Predates 21 days in advance. The model in particular connects disorder in the blockchain with the panic in the crypto market, leveraging principle from theoretical physics. This is very nice, I think, because, again, comes out just using some maths and without the need to use any machine learning, any black box. We are controlling everything, and now we have a motivation for what we are observing, that people start behaving differently in the blockchain when making their transaction according to the 3 parameters that we were considering, that were the number of transactions per blocks, the number of inputs per blocks, and the number of outputs per blocks. Well, before concluding this presentation, let me thank my academic collaborators, Professor Pietro Nero and Tessone, Gabriele Di Antonio, Gianni Valerio Vinci, Raffaele Cristodare, and our partner collaborator Marco Corradino. Here there is the reference. It's a paper that you can find online. It's open access, entitled Disorder Unleashes Panic in Bitcoin Dynamics, deeply related to the results that I've discussed with you today, published in the Journal of Physics. Well, the goal of this presentation was to give you some insights about the way we do at the Cryptonary Lab. Because I think that beyond presenting results, it's also important try to communicate the methodology we use. We use also AI and deep learning. I'm not saying that they are not useful. They are extremely useful for commercial purposes, but it's also important to try to understand and to show our customers that what we do is try to understand phenomena. Thank you for your attention. Here there is my email. Feel free to send me any email you want. There's Cryptonary website. I'll be here around to discuss with you if you want to hear more, if you are curious, if you want to have details, or if you want just to have a copy of the paper. Thanks again.